When talking about health and wellness, we always evaluate our physical condition, or we check our psychological state, like what kind of emotion we are experiencing. However, we sometimes neglect the spiritual power and the meaning of life that are always inside of our minds. Harry Moody once said, "Awareness of a meaning that transcended individual life is a universal human quality. Transcendence and the search for meaning are what make us human." This sentence encourages us to look deep into what our meaning of life is. Meaning of life refers to the world views and the personal internal model, such as his or her moral development, values, and faith. Having purpose and meaning in life is quite essential for human beings. It contributes to optimal human development through improved resiliency, increased level of happiness, and human flourishing. When studying the meaning system, we need to look beyond the observable behavior, which may go beyond the standardized questionnaire techniques, open-ended interview techniques, or individual case studies are also adopted. Recently, it is found that spirituality can influence the individual's perception of the meaning of life. Spirituality helps us experience inner peace and unify interconnectedness with the higher power. That provides meaning and purpose in life. It also contributes to positive health outcomes. It gives us supportive strength to face challenges in life. Furthermore, spirituality increases people's happiness, excitement with life, self-esteem, and optimism. In Hong Kong, most of us are familiar with the Lion Rock spirit. It is believed to be the core values that are inherited by Hong Kong people from generations to generations. Cultivated from a popular drama series, Below the Lion Rock, in 1973, it represents Hong Kong people's perseverance and solidarity. These characteristics support the citizens to work hard and rebuild Hong Kong after World War II collectively. Nowadays, the rise of modernized Lion Rock spirit expresses socio-political aspirations of Hong Kong people for democracy, social equality, and justice. Discussion: what is your understanding of the Lion Rock spirit? Do you think it still represents Hong Kong spirit now? After a discussion, you can click the link to see how the citizens think of these two questions. Have you ever thought about what the most important thing is in your life? How do these elements consist of your meaning of life? Kohlberg considered that these items were not crucial to an individual at all times. Instead, it evolves and changes over different life stages. This belief determines how people think about what is right and wrong. The decision of moral reasoning is highly related to the meaning of life. Kohlberg studied how individuals process moral reasoning. He presented hypothetical dilemmas and found that there were 3 levels of moral reasoning. The first level is the pre-conventional level. The pre-conventional level of moral reasoning is especially common in children, although adults can also exhibit this level of reasoning. Reasoners at this level judge the morality of an action by its direct consequences. Throughout the pre-conventional level, the sense of morality is externally controlled, for example, accepting and believing the rules of authority. The individual focuses on the desire to obey rules and avoidance of being punished. As such, moral reasoning is also limited to their interests. At the conventional level, individuals judge the morality of actions by comparing it to the society's views and expectations. Conventional morality is characterized by an acceptance of society's conventions concerning right and wrong. At this level, an individual obeys rules and follows society's norms, even when there are no consequences for obedience or disobedience. At the post-conventional level, individuals take precedence over society's view, and an individual may disobey rules inconsistent with their principles. They have their own ethical principles, including basic human rights, life, liberty, and justice. In Lawrence Kohlberg's view, moral development consists of the growth of less egocentric and more impartial modes of reasoning on more complicated matters. According to Wong and Frankel, the seeking of the meaning can help build up spiritual power. There are 3 levels of self-transcendence. The first level is seeking the ultimate meaning. At this level, the individual can reach beyond their physical limitations. They can still live with dignity and maintain an attitude of freedom and responsibility for their happiness. The second level is seeking situational meaning. We can discover the meaning potential of each situation and reach beyond our mental and situational constraints and connect with our spiritual values. We need to relate to our immediate experience in an open, curious, and responsible way, and ask, what is the right thing to do? The last level is seeking one's calling. A sense of calling straddles between ultimate meaning and situational meaning. We may reach beyond self-actualization and pursue a higher purpose for the greater good. For example, a person may have the desire to serve the poor and disadvantaged. When he learns about the opportunity to serve in a leper colony, he may accept this mission as his calling. It is an engagement striving to achieve a concrete meaning in life, a life goal of contributing something of value to others. If we can cultivate all three levels of transcendence, we will develop a spiritual lifestyle that is good and healthy for individuals and society. Usually, we focus more on the quality of life and what benefits our growth. However, we seldom consider how to achieve the quality of death. So what does it mean to have a good death? Good death is referred to as helping the patients who are dying and their bereaved families. Reconstructing the meaning of death as good is an essential way of coping. Different cultures construct different definitions of good death. For example, in the Western context, good death includes three themes across all stakeholders, like the patient, family, and the healthcare providers. A literature search found that the individual in English-speaking countries consider, first, the treatment preference for the dying processes were most important. Second, pain-free status. And third, emotional well-being. These thoughts emphasize on individual happiness. While in Hong Kong, a good death is not purely a personal matter, but also relevant to spiritual power and social relationships. Chan and her colleagues found that the good death covers many perspectives. From the perspective of terminally ill patients, good death is first, being aware of dying; second, maintaining hope; third, free from pain and suffering; fourth, experiencing personal control; fifth, maintaining social relationship; sixth, preparing to depart; and finally, accepting the timing of one's death. From the perspective of the bereaved people, the family has a core position in the definition of the good death. Other than having life accomplishments and having a good family, presence of family members at the moment of death is important too. Let's look at a local research about the perception of good death among the general public in Hong Kong. Among the public, good death is most often related to first, having no physical torture; second, being painless; and third, being independent. Do you agree or disagree with these items? What is your understanding of good death? Please share your view with your classmate in the discussion session. In Chinese culture, death and dying is acceptable and worshipped with respect. People naturally accept death and suffering, and they believe the human has an afterlife. With the comparison between Eastern and Western studies, we may conclude that physical conditions is the main factor for good health in the majority of Western population. However, more tendency is on the interdependence and psychosocial factors in Chinese culture. To prepare for a good death, both the individual and his family members both have to be psychologically prepared. We believe that no matter how good the death, it is still a significant loss for many bereaved people. So to achieve good bereavement under the significant other's death is quite necessary for those alive. Good bereavement refers to the combination of a good death of a deceased person and the good life of a bereaved person. For those bereaved people, they should reconstruct the meaning of life after the loss, adjust to change in daily life after the loss. In Chinese culture, death is also a taboo that people are not willing to mention in daily life, because it may result in bad luck. For this reason, most of us have little understanding of the meaning of life and death and how to cope with the related issues. So nowadays, scholars and the public have raised awareness and begun life and death education. The core of life and death education is to unfold the fear of death, change the mystery of life and death from unknown to known. Education would teach the public a positive way to face pitfalls and traumas. The public can also know, accept, and realize the limits in life and delicacy of human life. Although we do not know when, where, and how we will die, we can still determine our quality of life and subjective feeling towards life. And with the constant reflection and preparation, we can live and die well. So how can we prepare for death? A traditional method for coping with death is avoidance. Previously, the concept of death is bad luck, opposite to living, and represents the failure. It results in fearful and stubborn emotions, guilty and conflictual relationships, low and regretful self-esteem, loss and exhaustion in life, and accepting death unexpectedly and helplessly. It is a harmful and vicious circulation. A paradigm shift is occurring to guide us to cope with death. Through enriched preparation, we can have a good death. This paradigm, we call it 2 lives, 3 wills, 兩人三足 in Chinese. It includes the meaning of life and life review in the part of 2 lives. We should attach the meaning to life and death, including the values and religion. Life review refers to completing the life task in the stage and integrating his or her whole life. 3 wills are will, living will, and loving will. Wills are the arrangement and distribution of heritage and hangovers, organ donation, and funeral. The living will is that the individual can predict and decide their deathbed health care, including treatment plan and healthcare agency. The last one is loving will. It is the emotional communication with the family and friends, treasuring the remaining time they spend together and spreading the motto, wisdom of life. This concept suggests that we should reconstruct the meaning of death, accepting it as a terminal station of the life journey. Coping methods can include life reviews and reconciliation. This coping method can allow peaceful and gratitude emotions, cherish and connected relationships, and appreciated self, allow life to continue to be enjoyable, and acceptance of death. Regarding dying, there is a heated discussion about whether people should die in their own homes in Hong Kong. It is a significant challenge for end-of-life care. Until 2016, over 1 million elderly people live in Hong Kong, and the proportion of elderly people in the total population rose to 15.9% in 2016. The aging trend became faster in the past decade. While Hong Kong enjoys one of the longest life expectancies, some local researchers pointed out that an inappropriate admission to hospital were common. Almost all older patients die in the hospital, while seldom choose palliative care services. This choice contributes to several problems, such as inappropriate use of hospital services and unnecessary transportation. In Hong Kong, the barriers of dying at home are countless, such as social taboo and the lack of death education. Less than 3% of the patients participated in the home end-of-life care program. However, most elderly would like to stay at home even during the last moments of life. Please see the reference on the next page and discuss the choice of dying at home.